Hey everyone. This time we're going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Hyperstone Heist on the Sega Genesis. The story for this game is something straight out of the cartoon. Like other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, and also some of the cartoons, we start with April O'Neil, she's doing a news report, and then all of a sudden something crazy happens, and the Shredder starts stealing shit with the help of the Hyperstone. The Turtles are watching her on the TV, then the Shredder appears, and he basically explains the plot for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so. From there, you travel across a few stages, beating up a bunch of somewhat familiar bad guys. There are a few that I didn't recognize right away, but, that's me. I didn't really pay attention to the comics, and I don't remember all of them from the cartoon show. So, yeah, I kind of had to look those up later on. But you beat them up across a few stages, then you eventually have a boss rush stage, and then you fight the Shredder, who then turns into the Super Shredder, and that's fun. I mean, it's pretty much what you would expect from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and also from a beat-em-up. The story isn't amazing, but it's good enough. This is a pretty straightforward beat-em-up. You move left to right, beat up the enemies as they appear on the screen. At certain points, the screen will lock, and then you need to defeat all the enemies in order to move on. You'll eventually fight a boss character who takes a little bit of effort to beat. You might have to wait a little bit to learn a strategy, much like some of the lesser enemies, but they'll take a little bit more time to beat. And you'll also know when you're close to beating them because they'll start flashing red. Or orange, I guess. It kind of depends on just how you view the color. Unsurprisingly, there are 4 playable characters in this, which, yeah, it's fine for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It is a 2-player, so that's always nice. I completely understand why they didn't try to make it 4-player, though, because not everybody had the hardware to do that. One of the kind of crappy things about this is the Turtles don't have like a unique moveset. You're basically just going to be doing standard attacks most of the time, and if you get lucky, then you can grab onto your opponent and whip them back and forth. There is a jump attack to use as well. It's fine. I didn't really notice a special attack in this game until you find like certain items that allow you to do something special. I think there is a special attack in here outside of that, usually one that will cause you to lose some health or something along those lines. I probably just overlooked it, which is a very strong possibility since I often overlook the specials in these games. Some battles, especially when you get to the bosses, take a little bit of strategy. You need to kind of learn what their moves are, take the visual cues for what they're going to be doing, and definitely lean on that jump kick in order to do stuff. It really is your best option most of the time while you're playing this. There is a little bit of variety in this with a few shoot-'em-up stages, but for the most part, you're just doing a beat-'em-up. A lot of the enemies are going to be the Foot Clan, but just, palette swapped. That's fine because they at least are given different weapons and different abilities, so that's kind of cool. It helps them to sort of stand out and also keeps it from being just really boring. Like the Tick beat 'em up, where you're just beating up the same ninjas over and over again. You do eventually fight like Mousers, you'll fight some rock guys as well. There is a decent variety to the enemies, but they're not really anything amazing. The bosses are all really big, and as I've mentioned, they take a little bit of effort to deal with. You also have some items on the stages where if you'll hit them, they'll eventually blow up. So that's kind of cool, especially if you can lure your enemies into them and just cause them to really get wiped out. That's always a lot of fun. It's like the exploding barrels in Doom, but not quite as enjoyable to use because you need to lure more enemies into it. You don't get the same satisfying eruption of guts or anything like that. Overall, I really like the gameplay. I think it's excellent. It can get a little repetitive, especially if you're playing through this multiple times, but I never thought that the game got boring. And also, I just like the idea of punching a series of colorful ninja robots and rock monsters. It just feels really satisfying. I think the Hyperstone Heist looks amazing. It's really well detailed, the graphics look awesome, you have a little bit of parallax scrolling going on. It's just a really great looking game. I have to go back and play Turtles in Time at some point just so I can really compare these two, because right now I feel a little bit biased saying that this one is better looking than Turtles in Time since I haven't played that one recently. The opening cutscene looks really awesome. I love it an awful lot. It looks really impressive, especially for 1992, and it looks a lot better than many of the other beat-em-ups that I've played on the Genesis. It really helps this one stand out how good it actually looks. The character sprites look awesome, the turtles and the enemies look really well detailed, and they're fairly large for a game like this. You do only face 4 enemies at a time on the screen, but that never really feels like a bad thing. The stages all look great. 2 of them are reused from other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, specifically from the first arcade game and also Turtles in Time. I didn't notice the similarities right away, especially with the arcade game, and it's going to be interesting when I go through Turtles in Time to see how close this one, or at least how this one stage is in Hyperstone Heist to the one that they were reused from Turtles in Time. Overall, this is one of the best looking Sega Genesis games that I've played. I think it looks as good, if not a little bit better than Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo, but again, I'm going to have to go back and check that one. It just looks so much better than what I was really expecting, and it looks a lot better than the other Sega Genesis games that I've played for this. I have tried to play this game a few times before actually doing this review, but I didn't really get into it as much as I did for this playthrough. I'm not really sure why, but it probably had something to do with how I was feeling at that time, but I'm really glad that I sat down and revisited it because it's one of the better beat-em-ups that I've played. What I found on this playthrough was really a spectacular looking beat-em-up with outstanding gameplay. So far, it's the best one that I've played on the Sega Genesis. I don't remember if I included it on a best of list for this system, but I probably should have. Maybe when I revise the one that I did at some point, I'll throw this one on there. The Hyperstone Heist is a game that I had a ton of fun with, and it reminds me of playing like the first arcade game, or even some of the games on the NES. I've got a lot of memories of those games, and this brought back a lot of the feelings that I had while I was playing those. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.